On the 24th of October 2020, in the middle of the pandemic, when the long nights of Finland's winter were beginning to set in, Tiina, a head teacher, did what many Finnish people do at the weekend. She took a sauna at home in her flat.
I had a hard day because there was a COVID burst in our school, so I had to organize all the distancing, education and all that. Then finally we had the sauna.
After she stepped out of the sauna, Tiina picked up her phone.
I was in my bedroom and I thought, well, I'll just check as we do. I took my phone and the email was there. My spouse was still in the sauna. I read it through and then I was like, what?
What did the email say?
I have my email here. Do you want me to read?
Yes, read it to me. Read it to me.
Tiina had spent the last 3 years having weekly sessions with a psychotherapist she'd found through a company called Vastaamo.
We have breached Vastaamo's patient database and are contacting you because you have used Vastaamo's therapy.
A total stranger had stolen her most private, intimate thoughts, secrets she had confided in her therapist but never told another soul, and was holding them to ransom. Pay, the stranger said. If you don't send us €200 in Bitcoin within 24 hours, the price will go up to €500 within 48 hours.
If we still do not receive our money after this, your information will be published for everyone to see, including your name, address, phone number, social security number, and detailed patient records containing transcripts of your conversations with Vastaamo's therapist.
Pay. Otherwise, all the secrets you told your therapist will be exposed.
It was really stabbing to me. I was just in my bathrobe. I was still almost naked at home.
Tiina was a mother, a grandmother, a partner, and a head teacher.
I wouldn't like my students or my colleagues or anybody to read my personal thoughts.
This is the story of the biggest crime in Finnish history. A hack that shaped the way criminals seek to use our most personal data against us. A hacker willing to deploy a particular kind of cruelty to get what he wanted. A hacker without boundaries. I'll follow the story from the first ransom demands into the lives of the victims and alongside the investigators tasked with tracing the hacker around the world. It will lead me to one of the strangest and most chilling conversations I've ever had. It's a story about whether our deepest secrets can ever be private in the digital age, and the enormous power that hackers now have to hold our inner lives to ransom. I'm Jenny Kleeman, and from BBC Radio 4 and Intrigue, this is Ransom Man. Episode 1. Naked.
I always get nervous before interviews. No matter how long I've been a journalist, it never gets easier. I always feel like something's going to go wrong or the person's not going to turn up.
It's May 2025. Tiina and I have been emailing and Zooming for a few months, and I've come to Finland to meet her.
I think it's probably a good thing that I feel anxious before interviews, but it's a bit exhausting when you've been doing it for as long as I have to go through this turmoil every time you do it.
She lives with her partner in Vantaa, just north of the capital, Helsinki. I'm about to ask Tiina to share some incredibly personal information. In the back of my head, I'm thinking, is she going to change her mind and back out? So when I see her smiling broadly in her doorway, it's a relief.
So nice.
You found me. You did.
She ushers my producer Sam and me into her kitchen, where there's a spread of carrot cakes and mini pizzas waiting for us. Her flat is crammed full of beautiful things, ornate clocks, paintings, the beaded jewellery Tiina makes in her spare time. Family photos cover the walls.
How long have you been married?
Actually, not married. We're just engaged. I divorced after 29 years.
Really? So you've had a second life?
Yeah.
While Sam is putting Tina's mic on, she tells me about how she has 3 adult children, including a pair of twins. She's 62, but looks much younger.
You're clearly doing something right. It's all the saunas or something.
I've travelled to Finland because I want to understand the mindset of the person who sent Tiina that email. I want to know what the rest of the world can learn from what happened here. But in order to fully grasp the scale and impact of this crime, I need to know how much was at stake. I have to start with the people at the heart of the story, the victims. There are as many different reasons for going to therapy as there are people seeking it. Tiina went because 30 years of panic and anxiety had finally caught up with her.
I had a build-up of severe stress and depression for almost, I think, decades, because I've had my 3 children when I was under 25, and 2 out of my 3 children are very severely disabled.
Tiina's twin daughters were born extremely prematurely in the 1980s, weighing only a few hundred grams each. One grew up with cerebral palsy, the other was blind. Tiina spent years juggling medical emergencies, surgeries and overnight hospital stays with a demanding job and a crumbling marriage.
One of the twins had very severe operations. She was operated over 30 times before she was 20. I was going to the hospital straight from my work, staying there overnight, then going to work, and it continued for years and years and years on end.
She divorced in 2014 and met her current partner a year later when her children were adults with independent lives. After decades of putting their needs before her own, Tiina should have been finally able to exhale. Instead, she had a breakdown.
There was a reaction from my body and I just collapsed. I had full-scale anxiety running through my body all the time. I couldn't sleep at all. I couldn't be with anybody. And I felt that the anxiety was so bad that I remember thinking in the car that I want to get out of myself. I didn't think about doing anything to myself, but I just wouldn't care if something would happen.
I'm so sorry, Tiina.
We're getting better at asking for help with our mental health, but that means the demand for talking therapies is now huge, and finding a therapist can be difficult. Finland has been ranked the happiest country on earth for 8 years in a row. It's also one of the world's most digitally advanced. Over a decade ago, the Finns came up with a sensible, high-tech solution to meet the demand for mental health care, a digital platform, a one-stop shop where anyone could find the right therapist to meet their needs. Vastaamo.
I thought that I just can't bear this anymore. I need help urgently. I was looking for therapy and I went online. First it was really difficult to know where to go, but then I came up with Vastaamo.
It appeared on the first page of a Google search. Its logo had the colour palette of a first aid kit with white lettering inside a green speech bubble. Think of this very much as therapy in the age of dating apps. You could pick a therapist according to their location, specialism and availability, and even their profile picture.
I got the first contact the next day, I remember.
Over 3 years of psychotherapy, Tiina emerged from the bleakest period of her life. She'd shared everything with her therapist, things she'd never told anyone else.
These kinds of thoughts that I wouldn't mind dying. It's something you wouldn't like to talk even to the spouse, maybe. Mm-hmm. So you talk about maybe trauma in relationships and all the disappointment and tragedy of having children with disabilities and what influence it has had on my life.
The pain and disappointment of being a parent to disabled children. Her feelings about her ex-husband, their father.
Silly things, childish things. But we think these thoughts throughout our lives. And it's very human to feel hate, anger, rage. I don't think it's different from anybody else.
Through all the time Tiina's kids were in and out of hospital, no one had ever asked her if she needed support. For the first time in her life, she asked for help for herself. And through Vastaamo, she found it.
How useful, then, was the therapy for you?
I don't know if I can say that it saved my life, but I wouldn't be in this state if I hadn't had the therapy. Mm. I really felt that somebody's listening to me. Mm. I could say whatever I wanted, whatever I felt.
The word Vastaamo, what does it mean in English? Could you try and translate it for me?
A place where they respond. They reply, they answer you.
Accessibility and affordability were a key part of Vastaamo's mission. Journalists described the company as the McDonald's of therapy. By October 2020, it had dozens of clinics on high streets and in shopping centres across Finland. The company also pioneered remote therapy over video calls, so it could be accessed by clients anywhere in the country.
You have these different tragedies in your life that you wouldn't write even into your own journal, because you might think that somebody might read this. But when you talk about them to a therapist, then you think that nobody will ever know.
What would Tiina's students say? What would her twins say if they read all about her hate and anger, her rage and disappointment? We've all had thoughts we would never write down. We might not even feel comfortable saying them aloud to our closest loved ones, but we'd tell a therapist if we felt we needed to for the sake of our mental health. How would you feel if you opened an email from some stranger who said they'd read all those thoughts and were about to share them with the world?
I was in such a panic that I called the emergency number, and the police, they just said, "Don't pay anything."
They didn't tell you what to do next, though?
No.
So you felt on your own?
Sure.
But Tiina wasn't alone. Everyone who had used Vastaamo was in the same position. Every single one of Vastaamo's patients was having their most intimate thoughts held against them. In a country of only 5 million, 33,000 people had their therapy notes hacked.
And then my spouse came from the sauna and I let him read. I felt the panic striking. The panic was so terrible. There was a heavy pressure on my chest. I felt my heart was pounding and it was really difficult to breathe. And I remember lying down on the bed and telling my spouse that I think I'm going to have a heart attack.
What Tiina didn't know is that the email was only the latest in a chain of events that had begun weeks earlier, which saw Vastaamo locked in a desperate attempt to stop the hacker. In an office in Turku, Western Finland, a phone started ringing. The phone belonged to a cybercrimes investigator.
First of all, give us your name, because I need to make sure that I'm pronouncing it correctly, and your job title.
Well, good luck with pronouncing a Finnish name. It's Antti Kurittu. My personal role in this whole series of events started when Vastaamo was attacked.
Antti began his career in physical security, working as a doorman. Then he became a detective, investigating cybercrimes for the Finnish police, before moving into the private cybersecurity sector. With his shaved head and broad shoulders, he still looks a bit like a bouncer.
We got approached and asked if we could actually help in determining if the attacker actually had the database and if this was a legitimate ransom demand.
On the 28th of September 2020, Vastaamo's data protection officer, software developer and CEO each received an email from an extortionist who claimed to have hacked into their database. Any price you pay us will be small compared to the damage that would be inflicted to your business if we release this information onto the internet, the hacker wrote. Vastaamo's CEO, an entrepreneur called Ville Tapio, needed to know how serious the threat was. So he got in touch with Antti's firm.
How did he seem?
Worried and looking for answers, very cooperative. I heard what the case was about, and I thought that this is going to be a major issue because we're not only talking about a cybersecurity attack that has a localized small effect, we're talking about possibly tens of thousands of people being impacted.
Marko Leponen, a detective chief inspector with Finland's National Bureau of Investigations, specialises in cybercrime.
I realized that this isn't just a normal case. I couldn't even imagine the scale of it.
And what kind of person or people did you think you were dealing with?
Very sophisticated and at the same time very, very mean.
Hacks happen all the time. In the UK alone, over 600,000 businesses fell victim to a cybersecurity attack in 2025. Customer data was stolen from big names like Co-op, Marks & Spencer. In 2024, Russian hackers stole 400 gigabytes of patient records from an NHS blood testing service. Most of the time, cyber attackers are bluffing. They don't have anything like what they claim to be holding to ransom. So at first, Antti was sceptical.
Initially, we asked for proof from the hacker that he actually has the database that he says he has, and we were provided a sample.
The sample matched Vastaamo's patient data.
Were you shocked by what you saw in the sample?
Well, it hadn't really fully dawned on me at that point. A bit later, I realized that they were actually providing a lot of psychotherapy services for minors too.
Minors. This hacker was prepared to use the therapy notes of children as a bargaining chip. And his initial demand to Vastaamo was for 40 bitcoins, then the equivalent of just under €500,000, in exchange for keeping them private. Guided by Antti and the police detectives, someone from the Vastaamo side of negotiations sent carefully worded emails over the next few weeks in the hope of finding out who the extortionist was and stopping him. "I will do everything I can to prevent publication, but I need help with your request," they wrote. "Working with this new currency is new and difficult for me." The hackers' responses were both threatening and polite. "You can still put a stop to this by proceeding with the payments," he wrote in perfect English. "If you need any assistance during this process, we are here to answer any questions you may have." With such sensitive information at stake in the Vastaamo hack, why not pay to keep it safe?
Essentially what you're doing is you're giving 40 bitcoins to an unknown person and trusting the promise of a criminal that they won't do more crime. That's not a transaction, really. That's just throwing money towards criminals that threaten you.
Vastaamo didn't pay, and instead, alongside the police, they tried to stall the hacker with negotiations that went nowhere. Ville Tapio was removed as CEO on the 12th of October. At 1:21 a.m. on the 20th of October, 4 days before Tiina received her email, the hacker issued an ultimatum. Pay at least 1 Bitcoin, around 11,000 euros, within 24 hours, or 100 patient records will be released every day. Vastaamo didn't respond. And then, just over a day later, at 4:52 a.m. on the 21st of October, the hacker wrote again. As you are not replying, we have released the first 100 patient records. In the early hours of the 21st of October, messages appeared on the dark web, on Reddit message boards, and on a site called Ullilauta, Finland's version of 4chan, notorious for racism, misogyny, and the darkest kind of humour. They were written by someone using the handle Ransom Man. The posts read, "Hello, Finnish colleagues. We have hacked the psychotherapy clinic Vastaamo.fi and taken tens of thousands of patient records, including extremely sensitive session notes and social security numbers. We requested a small payment of 40 bitcoins, nothing for a company with yearly revenues close to 20 million euros, but the CEO has stopped responding to our emails. We are now starting to gradually release the patient records, 100 entries every day." Ransom Man was true to his word. There was a link to the dark web, where 100 patient records were already on display. 100 people had their names, their email addresses, their social security numbers, and the records of all the conversations they had had in therapy posted to a public forum for anyone to see. He signed off the post with a single word: "Enjoy."
This wasn't a random sample. It was obviously that they had chosen some names that had some kind of a position in the Finnish society, police officers, politicians, people like that.
The names appeared alongside notes that contained details of paedophilic thoughts, affairs, suicide attempts. Ransom Man seemed to have deliberately picked the highest profile and the most extreme to flaunt and draw attention to his treasure trove. And he was threatening to do this again and again and again. Every 24 hours, 100 more names, 100 more sets of notes containing the darkest secrets, until Vastaamo paid up. If moderators tried to remove the thread, it would simply reappear. Even people who spend their time on the dark web were shocked by what was being leaked there.
Some people were quite incredulous, even users there. They were just kind of surprised, like, what is this bullshit?
It was too much even for them.
And not just for them, it was too much for Finland's cybercriminals.
I've been told on good authority that even they were flabbergasted and sort of shocked by the fact that this kind of data would be used in this way. And this was seen to be something completely different. Not just illegal, but actually evil.
No one knew who Ransom Man was, but one person, a journalist, found himself with an unlikely connection to Ransom Man.
We got a tip, an anonymous tip. Something bad has happened.
Henrik Karkanen is a tech reporter for Ilta-Sanomat, the biggest newspaper in Finland. After he was tipped off about the leak, he went on the dark web to check it out.
I went over there, and there had been some records posted already.
I'm not going to read you any of the leaked therapy notes in this series, but to verify the story, when he first had the tip, Henrik had to read what was in the files.
What I did actually is that when you opened them, when they came on the screen, I covered the name of the patients with my hands so that I actually couldn't see them. I could see the notes, but not the persons that they were connected with.
Using his hands to obscure the names on his screen. What an analogue way for a tech reporter to respect patient confidentiality.
And how personal were the things in those notes?
Very personal. About depression, about your spouse cheating, about self-destructive thoughts and thoughts of suicide and sexual problems. What you get in therapy, extremely, extremely personal.
What did it feel like to be reading that?
Dirty. And at the same time, I knew I was doing my job. There was nobody else to do that. What was unfolding there was the biggest case in Finnish criminal history.
As news of the hack began to spread online, the Vastaamo patients who'd heard about it could only wait and see if their records would be in the next batch of 100 released onto the dark web. A few days later, Tiina Parikka would sit on her bed and read the email from Ransom Man. It was the first she and her partner had heard about the Vastaamo hack.
We were both out of our wits what to do. It felt like a public rape.
While all of this was happening, did you think about who had hacked your data? Who was Ransom Man?
I thought, in what kind of a state of mind is a person who does that? It's not a typical kind of like a scam. This person must be really, really cruel, cold-blooded.
It could be basically anybody. It could be some extortionist gang from Eastern Europe, or it could be somebody living next door to me.
Henrik published his article and broke the news of the hack. A reader quickly got in touch.
After I wrote the first story on the incident, 11 minutes after that I got an email. The email was in English. Hello, I've seen your article regarding the Vastaamo incident. I represent the group responsible. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer them.
Someone claiming to be Ransom Man wanted to talk to Henrik.
Being doubtful, I asked if he can prove his claim.
He responded by posting a copy of the messages exchanged with Henrik in the same place where the 100 patient records had been uploaded, in a folder with Henrik's name on it.
That's how he convinced me that he was the guy behind the extortion.
How did it feel to know that you were talking to the hacker then?
I had already understood that something really, really, really bad was happening to me, and he was threatening to make things worse.
A new batch every 24 hours. No one was stopping him. No one knew who he was. And none of the victims knew if they would be next.
We quickly calculated that this could go on for a year unless it gets stopped somehow.
Next time, it was stopped, but not in a way anyone could have predicted. Ransom Man is written and presented by me, Jenny Kleeman. The producer is Sam Peach. The executive producer is Georgia Catt. The commissioner is Dan Clark, and the commissioning executive is Tracy Williams. Sound design by Sam Peach. Original music for the series was composed, performed and produced by Echo Collective. It's a BBC Studios production for BBC Radio 4.